Sounds good.
Respect my audacity.
Nice. And I'm going to play the charity stream commercial, and then in the middle of the show, I'm going to do an ASA commercial. Then I'll do the charity stream commercial after the theme song again at the end of the show. There'll also be a Fallout feed bumper, like this show is brought to you by Game Talk or something like that in there. So
cool.
Hang on just a minute. Let me get through all this stuff. It would help if I turned up the levels like a dummy.
Hey, does anybody know when the 12-hour ASA podcasting charity stream for cystic fibrosis is?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Easy there. I'll tell you. It's October 29th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Don't tell anyone. That's under wraps.
Oh, is it under wraps?
No.
What's under wraps?
I was kidding.
Geez, don't scare me like that. Get me in trouble with Michael. Hey, if you're lucky, you'll get to hear more great parenting advice like this.
Punish the child, punch it in the head.
You throw the baby in the corner.
Flamethrower.
Eat the baby, Jeremy.
Right.
And Jerry's eating babies.
Hey, Victor, did you know Andrew can do some of his son's favorite impressions?
I wouldn't know.
Well, here's a couple of them.
I've been looking forward to this.
Choo choo. A little boat. Choo choo.
And of course, those of us here at ASA Podcasting find that
adorable.
And maybe someone's favorite band by the name of
Meat Shield
will join us and sing some of their greatest hits, including
Elephant on Roller Skates.
Creepy Uncle Laugh, not included. Or what about this one? And finally, Colin's favorite song.
Do you have your crack cocaine in the break?
That's right. All of this could be yours and more if you tune in October 29th between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to the ASA Podcasting Cystic Fibrosis Charity Stream. More details to follow. This commercial is brought to you by ASA Podcasting. This episode of the Fallout Feed is brought to you by Game Talk and viewers like you.
The wasteland is a post-apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out, about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, gross atomic waste. From deep within the core, gross atomic waste.
And a very hearty welcome and hello. My name is Andrew, and you're listening to the Fallout Feed, episode number 51, and I am joined this evening by Dennis. Hello, Dennis. How are you this evening?
All right, Andrew. How's it going?
Great. Dennis, glad to have you here, buddy. And also, Mr. Pat, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Andrew. Hey, Dennis. How we doing?
Oh, great to have you guys back together again. Always love a good Fallout Feed podcast.
Good to have the band back together.
Yes. The band minus Kara. Hopefully she's doing well with studies. We hope to get her back on whenever she has like maybe a mid-semester break or something like that.
Hopefully she's just studying, she's not Yokoing us and breaking up the band.
Oh goodness. I got a nice message from her saying that she actually misses podcasting very much. So good luck in school, Kara, and we miss you. You're welcome back anytime you like to come back, and when you have time to play a few hours a game and come chit chat with us, you're always welcome back.
It's good to know we don't suck as much as school does.
Oh, come on. That's an obligation. She actually pays for that. She has to do all that school. God, man, I went to enough school and I'm so tired. I'm just so glad that I'm not back in college. My brother went back to college. My dad late in life went back to college. Everyone in my life goes to college all their stupid life, and then they go back to college after they're tired of their dumb job for so long. I'm so glad to be done with school. I'd rather just be stuck in my dumb job than have to go back to dumb school again. I'm so horrible.
I'm kind of with you on that one. I initially planned to go to dumb graduate school and decided to get a dumb job instead, and I've been happy with it.
Yeah, I always think my parents were severely disappointed that I didn't seek higher education with a master's degree and all that, but I was done with it. You know what I mean? I was done with school.
Well, my wife's a teacher, so it's like I go to school every day.
Yeah. My mom was a teacher. My dad's a teacher. My brother was a teacher. My grandfather started the school district back in 1912 or whatever. He started this.
Wow.
Like, I come from a long line of teachers, and I actually did some student teaching and was thought that I was going in that direction, and I kind of stopped, and I'm glad I did, because this is the Fallout feed, of course, but it's also the State of Education podcast. So
That's like when I visit my family. My wife is a former teacher, and I have a brother-in-law who is a teacher, and so when they get together for a family thing, it's all the teacher talk.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys know it too.
Talks. Yeah, they're constantly getting shat upon, so they always have good.
They deserve a chance to vent. You're absolutely right.
Right on. So, Dennis, what kind of stuff have you been getting into in game recently? I think we're going to do a little bit of Nuka World talk. Just a fair warning off the top of the show here, guys. Firing off the bow. We'll get into some Nuka World spoilers probably. We'll just discuss the stories and stuff. So if you're not ready to hear that sort of stuff, we understand. Go ahead and pause the show and join us when you're ready to listen. But Dennis, you're probably not going to get too deep into it because you were having some sort of issues. Is that correct?
Yeah, my character my roundtable character just basically melted down. I mean, it got to the point again where I've had this problem like twice now, where it's just things start to come apart, little bits, something isn't quite working right, or something won't load properly, and then it just kind of cascades from there. And I just have to pull everything out and try with the fresh reload.
Oh, that sucks. So it's your roundtable character is the only one that you've actually made the attempt for Nuka World. You haven't done like a
actually my roundtable characters are cursed, because like the first roundtable character I had got to Nuka World, I was just after I met Gage and got the little first starting little set up house, and I got locked in my power armor, and I couldn't. Every time I tried to get out of my power armor, it would just completely freeze and lock down. And
I think it's because someone was squirting you with a squirt gun.
Yeah, probably. Probably squirting myself with it.
It was leak. You just had it in your pocket. You're supposed to put it in the holster, because when you just put it in your pocket, Dennis, it really leaks all over your makeshift battery core. It short circuits it out, man.
Well, I was just trying to figure out if that's why the front of my pants are always wet.
That's because you're scared of the fucking gauntlet. Ugh.
Yeah, brutal, the gauntlet.
Chore much, Pat, with the gauntlet? What is the gauntlet here? For those of us who are first timers into Nuka World.
Just an entry to Nuka World. So you, like a lot of the DLCs, you pick it up by a radio signal, and like most of them, it tells you to go somewhere. And in this case, you go to you pop up the radio signal, and you see I think it gives you the location, but you have to walk to it like any other new location. It's the Nuka World Transit Center. So that's where it sends you. You go there. I think when you get there are some gunners fighting it out. I forget what they're fighting with.
That location is actually in the Commonwealth, even though it's off the edge.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Glowing Sea, where it's off the rectangle, but it's on the map.
Yeah.
So you go there, you fight the gunners, and there's like a parking garage you can derp around a little bit in. But when you're ready to go to Nuka World, you go basically to a subway station. Go down the subway station, and instead of a subway, you get a monorail. So shades of Disney World there.
Yeah.
You climb in the monorail, you punch that in, you get to you get there. It's unfortunately, this is probably the worst thing about Nuka World is every time you go there on the stupid monorail, they won't let you skip the monorail sequence. So you have to listen to maybe it's like a intentionally sort of infuriating callback to real amusement parks.
So you actually ride the monorail in each time.
Yeah. I have not found a way to other than I guess you can fast travel.
That's what that means.
Yeah. If you could fast travel, which I'm in. So right now I've only played Nuka World with my main survival character, which is unmodded, because he's the one that I get achievements with. So I'm no mod, so no fast travel. So you got to ride the monorail in.
Okay. So do you play on Xbox One, correct?
Xbox One, correct.
So you do not have any mods loaded here, which means achievements are disabled, meaning that do you have other characters that you do play mods with, but so that means you go through that whole horrible process rigmarole of activating and deactivating mods and loading and downloading and all that stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately. And and that's one of the reasons why it's a little bit of a pain in the neck to do my roundtable character, because it's a little bit of a vicious cycle. And Andrew, I told you and Dennis as we were getting set up for the show, I had a little bit of sort of an insight about why I hate my roundtable character too much. And this is not a roundtable episode, but as a little bit of an aside on that, I was trying to play my roundtable character quickly to kind of meet up to get through the roundtable stuff, but I found. And so I enabled a bunch of cheats like fast travel and some other things to make it go faster. But then I realized I'm at level 29 or something. I'm really not enjoying it because I didn't really kind of earn the character. I just sort of like accelerated through fast travel and I sort of blew through some stuff. And I think that's why I dislike the character so much, because I don't feel like I really earned him to get to this level. And whereas my other character that's over level 100 now, I'm having fun with it still, even though it's just kind of random derping, because I built the character and he's got all the toys now, so it's fun just kind of walking around with him.
Your 100.
See, I have a little bit different experience than that. When I had to do my reload and I started playing, I was like, I got to try and catch up to everybody. So I went off survival for the first time since it originally came out. Maybe it was because I was in Far Harbor, and Far Harbor is kind of such a pain to navigate through.
Agreed.
And I was fast traveling, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so much nicer.
Oh yeah, it's since I don't have a ton of time, of course I have more time than I think that I do, but since I don't have as much time as I would desire to play, and I don't have lots of time to trot around, especially if I have assigned quests that I'm working on, then I will mainly fast travel. But if I am just, I've got my side quest done, I've got my notes down, then I'll start roaming the countryside. You know what I mean? But I'm still not brave enough like you guys. You guys are men with the survival mode.
It die constantly, but that's okay.
I was sexist. Women can also be awesome, and most likely superior at survival mode. So women, you guys are way more tough than me too with the survival mode. Hey, Pat, why don't you get a quick plug into this comic that we've been seeing?
Oh yeah. So this is we've tweeted it out of the Fallout Feed account. I've retweeted it from my personal account. It's called Rads of Our Lives. And what the artist has done, she's taking there's a comic style called I can't believe I'm blanking on this. All my comics friends will disown me now. There's a comic style where it's photographs taken and then you add balloon captions, and it's a particular kind of comic style. It's got a name. I'm blanking on what it is. So what she's done is she's taken images from Fallout and screen capped them and arranged them into like 4 to 6 page comics, and she releases one episode one issue a week. It's called Rads of Our Lives, and the heroine is Amber McCready, and the artist, her Twitter persona is also Amber McCready. So I mean, she posts when she's talking about the comics, she sort of posts like quote unquote as Amber, but then she'll post other things on her Twitter feed occasionally too about her real life.
For those people who aren't familiar with lore, can you tell me who Amber McCready is?
Well, Amber is she's made herself up, right? I don't think Amber is McCready. McCready talks about his real wife in the lore of the game, but I think she's dead, right? If I remember right.
I don't recall.
Yeah. So anyway, so McCready's got a real wife in the game, and then a kid in the game, and that's actually part of his quest. His quest to fully 100% McCready. You got to get him through all this stuff, and he tells you all this background. And he tells about how he was a kid in Little Lamplight, which is a Fallout 3 callback. So he's got a deep, deep connection to the lore of the game in game. But this, again, apologies, Amber, if I have this wrong, but I think Amber created an Amber McCready persona, and she's the sole survivor in her comic. So she's the general. She's hung out with the Brotherhood of Steel. I can't remember if she styled herself as having destroyed the Institute already or not. It's there's about 29 issues of the comic, and it's kind of like a lighthearted sort of soap opera thing. And like right now, the current plot line is Piper is all jealous because Amber is now hooked up with McCready, and they've gotten married in game, and McCready's reformed. They're going around like really living the Minutemen mission, and it's a really nice little call out to the depth of the game, that she's able to just I'll say effortlessly in the sense of I'm sure she does a lot of work to make it. It's really well done, but it you just feel instantly, you feel like you're in a Fallout comic book. It's just so funny that she's able to use the leverage the Fallout lore, and she's gone through a few different arcs. Right now,
That's really awesome.
Yeah, right now it's Piper, and she's gone through stuff with Max, and so it's we tweeted out of the Fallout feed, so you can go find it there. The Twitter handle is Amber from the Vault. It's Amber, AMBER, from FRM, the TH, and then Vault spelled out. Or you can just go to the Fallout feed and look at that. We retweet it. It comes out every Thursday. Highly recommend the account.
Awesome, great, yeah. Highly endorse that. So I don't know. Do you want to hop back into Nuka World or jump into?
Yeah, so maybe just briefly about the Gauntlet. Don't want to completely spoil it, but it's about like what you'd think. It's you have to run through like some pretty nasty stuff. These raiders who have taken over Nuka World, they get their grins by taking newbies to Nuka World and making them run through the Gauntlet. And so you go through there, and you have to go through this mazy area, and there's a lot of traps, a lot of turrets. There's places where the raiders will ambush you, try to shoot you, and you get through all that stuff. And you get to the end, and at one point you hear a voice, and maybe not to completely spoil it, but you hear a voice of somebody who helps you, and you get into what's effectively like a bumper car arena, where there's a raider, the raider boss. He's a typical video game boss. He's basically in invulnerable power armor, and the mysterious voice that's going to help you gives you a particular weapon, which maybe we won't spoil exactly what that is.
I think we gave a spoiler heads up, Pat.
All right.
Whatever you want to do, man.
Okay, all right. So the mysterious voice says, "Go to this locker and go get this weapon, and that's the key." And you get it, and it's a freaking squirt gun. It's the Nuka blaster from the Rocket Girl ad. That's the cover for the cover art for the Nuka World DLC. So you get a squirt gun, and so what you have to do is you squirt the boss, and you squirt him long enough with the water, and eventually his power armor shorts out, and at that point he's vulnerable. Now he's still really tough. This is one of the things where I've been watching some Twitch streamers who do some no-hit runs and permadeath runs and things like that. I don't see how you could possibly do a no-hit run of Nuka World, because I don't see there's any way you can get through the Gauntlet without taking a lot of hits. So you get this guy.
You get under that one cage portion just before you get to that boss, where all the raiders are on top of the cage, and they're shooting down at you. That'd be extremely difficult.
Yeah. So I'll be interested.
Possible to get up there with them.
After you get through the Gauntlet, you can, but in the Gauntlet run, I believe you're stuck. I don't think there's any back doors out of it. Now, I did not run through there, or did I have Master Lockpick? I don't remember. Dennis, you got through the Gauntlet before you had the crash. Did you find a way to get out of the Gauntlet, or did you have to go through?
No, there's a side door to the right that's novice locked, but the door beyond that is chained, so you have to open it from the other side. You have to go through the Gauntlet, I think. Yeah,
that's what I think. So so you have to kill this guy, and he's quite tough, but he's killable. I actually did not die in the Gauntlet, which I amazed myself. He got me down to like 20 hit points or something, but I was able to spam all my healing stuff and kill him.
Well, you didn't even die once?
Not in the Gauntlet. Oh, I've died plenty of times other places, but yeah, I was able to get through the Gauntlet without dying.
Are you kidding me?
Wow. This is the thing about survival. You got to remember it goes both ways. The enemies die faster too.
Oh, that's true. You do more damage.
So it's and the other part about survival, and you guys who haven't tried it yet, keep this in mind. Your areas repopulate a lot slower. So there's some areas and ways in which survival is actually easier because you're not repopulating enemies as often. So it's not a completely harder. You die faster, but so do the enemies. So keep that in mind if you haven't tried survival yet. It may be worth a try. So you get through that, and maybe I'll get to this point and pause just for you guys to react or move on to another topic. But you get to that, and the character who helps you with the squirt gun turns out he's Gage. He's the follower. He's the new follower you can get, and he gives you a basic introduction to the Nuka World and says, "You're the new boss. Come talk to me." I'll tell you what to do here in Nuka World. And at that point, the raiders aren't hostile. They say snarky shit to you. They say, "Oh, yeah, you think you're tough," and and they also, it's kind of a weird because they're alternately like saying snarky shit, but also kind of sucking up to you because you're the new boss, right? So it's Raiders, so toughest, rule of the survival of the fittest and everything else. You eventually find a little home area you have. You've got all the workbenches, but they're not connected, so it's not a settlement. It's kind of like home plate in Diamond City, where you've got all the toys and some junk and everything, but you don't have a workbench. I guess workbench, Diamond City, home plate, you've actually got a workbench, but it's not connectable. Here, you don't even have a workbench.
You know what? I saw a new breed of cow in there I thought was really cool.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a Brahmin water buffalo, I guess, right?
It's like a water buffalo. It has that same crest on the helm of the head there.
Yeah. So Nuka World is complete. You see that in the market. There's a market with all the usual merchants. There's I can't remember. I
don't like that.
You don't like the market?
No, the collars. Everyone's in collars.
Oh yeah. See, the collars thing.
I don't like that.
Yeah. And as far as I know, I don't think you can actually get the collars off.
Yeah, I want to free everyone. That should be an option.
Well, so since we're full spoilers, I actually went to I as soon as I saw those collars, it's like F this. I'm gonna work to get those collars off, because for this particular character, he's actually with the Brotherhood, but he's like all in on like the helping humanity survive, down with sense, down with Raiders who are bringing humanity down. And so the rationale I used for my character was, okay, I'm going to help the Raiders as long as it doesn't mean that I'm hurting anybody but Raiders. And then when you get to the end, jumping way ahead to the end, and there's a lot more we could cover, but you get to the end and eventually it says you got to help the Raiders. You got to start raiding the Commonwealth. And I refused to do that. So I went down the other path, which is basically you kill all the Raiders.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that confused me about the whole slavery situation there is in Fallout 3 with like Eulogy Jones and the slavers there, they were slavers. They were gathering up people and taking them against their will and putting them in slavery, even children. In Nuka World, the whole thing in the beginning is they say, well, nobody here wears a collar that doesn't want to. Everyone is here by, quote unquote, their choice, because we're protecting them. And they, if they don't want to wear a collar, they don't have to. But then one of the beginning Radiant missions is, hey, go out and slap a collar on some person that's just wandering around in the wasteland. So that kind of confused me a little bit.
And I think that's a sort of Nietzschean survival of the fittest. I don't think you're supposed to believe that's. I took that as the Raiders say that to justify that. Hey, if these people weren't such weaklings, we couldn't put a collar on them. That's the way I took that, because they did say that a lot. Literally, they say, "Oh, you only have a collar if you want one." But I think it just means that you're too weak to. You're so weak that you let somebody put a collar on you, and therefore you deserve to be a slave. The doctor that's there, she was, I guess, in the beginning, like a trading area. I can't remember her name, unfortunately. She says, well, the Raiders attacked our homestead over and over again, and basically I patched them up and patched our people up. And they said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll protect your settlement if you come with us and be our doctor and wear a collar. So I mean, I guess that's by twisting somebody's arm and saying we'll just kill you, or you can do what's right. I guess that in a way that's right. It still seems a little funky to me. Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. I actually have a couple of regarding the collars. I'm not exactly sure what is going on here, guys. I have a quest called Under the Collar. Does that ring a bell to you, Pat? Where I'm supposed to run out to the Quincy ruins and collar some guy named Baker. And that is my Hoosier accent, everyone. I am saying the word collar. I can't pronounce it any better, but you know what I'm like, a dog collar.
So that's the Raider Radiant quest.
Okay, so I selected it as my active quest on my Xbox One, and now I'm trying to deactivate the quest, and it will not deactivate the quest. Since I have done the collar Baker and Quincy ruins, now it's giving me the return to Mags Black, but when I go to try to deactivate the quest, it won't take the quest marker off. I guess I should go to try to actually return to Magus Black and actually see if that will complete it. And
Oh.
but it's weird because I've never had that where it won't deactivate a quest marker. You know what
Yeah,
I
I've
mean?
never had that either. I've got several bugged quests in Far Harbor. Like Shipbreaker is still bugged for me in Far Harbor.
Oh, that's too bad. That's the
yeah.
the big fog crawler.
Yeah, and you get a nice gun as a reward, but I can't complete it.
Those old Longfellow's nemesis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I've had bug quests, but I've never had the quest marker just completely crap out like that.
Well, yeah, it's just weird that I can't deactivate it. I've never had anything like that happen before. So what is the general thing that you do once we get past that main? The first guy with the I don't even remember his name. The guy in the power armor who's got like it's basically a bumper car. You know what I mean? He's got like the electrical source like hooked up to the ceiling.
Yeah. I forget his name because
the bumper car style power.
Yeah, your first action in Nuka World is to kill him. So he.
Yeah. So you go through the gauntlet and you kill that guy, and then you go meet Gage immediately. Is he in like that sort of central tower?
Yep. Yeah, he's at the foot of the tower, and he hangs out there until you take him as a follower.
I don't know if I've actually taken him as a follower. Maybe I
did not.
I don't know.
Yeah, so
he's got a decent. I mean, depending on how low level you go in. I mean, the recommended is 30, and the radio beacon won't start to tell you where the marker is until you're 30. But you can go to that area if you're brave enough. I mean,
can you?
I've gone there. I went there to be sure because I couldn't get Nuka World to even appear on my map or load. I couldn't figure out where it was. So to be sure that it was working when I did my complete install, I walked over there at level 2, and the little event with the gunners was starting. But of course, I didn't want to run over in there at level 2 with like a baseball bat and see what I could do. But
batter up, Dennis.
But Gage's companion perk, if you max out his affinity, and he's one of the lock picky ones like Piper and Deacon, where if you run around and lockpick, and there are other things, but that's the easiest thing to boost his affinity with. He is 5% experience, additional experience for kills. So it's not a lot, but if you depending on how low level you start at, I know one of our, I think Harlan, our Facebook group, was actually doing all of the DLCs and content in reverse.
Yeah, explain that really quick. Shout out to Harlan Meeks. He's been a really active participant in the Facebook group recently. That's awesome. But do you know what he was doing exactly?
I think he was trying to get it to where he was not going to deal with Preston Garvey until the very, very end, and have to have all the events happen and see what would happen with kind of the main quest, if I'm describing it right for him. So he was going to start with I don't know if he started with Nuka World or Far Harbor, but the bigger DLCs, and then going back and doing the main quest, almost towards the very end after doing everything else. And I think he's gotten quite a fair piece into it.
So he was going to do the DLCs first. So I think he was going to do. Well, I think people were under the impression that you can't get into Nuka World until you're level 30, but I think he was doing Far Harbor until level 30, and then he was going to go over to Nuka World and side with all the raiders, and then after the end game of this DLC is you get to become the raider overlord and go overtake settlements out in the Commonwealth. But he was going to go take over as many settlements as he could, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a raider, and then go see what Preston Garvey had to say about it, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, that was my understanding too. It was a pretty good plan. It's definitely a nice way to get a little different experience of the game.
I don't know how low level you can be. I mean, like I said, I could walk up to it, but I don't know if it'll stop you. I know that I've gone in. I'm like 26 now, and they've let me go in. There's a big thing that comes up and says, recommended level 30, and that's for anyone that's done, Fallout 3 or New Vegas. That's a common thing in the Bethesda games where it'll be like, either you need to be. We recommend X level, or you actually you would go the old DLCs. They would say, I think except for one in New Vegas, I think it was Lone Wanderer or whatever that one was. It wouldn't let you come out of the DLC until you completed it. So you couldn't get back to the mainlands in the other games until you finished the DLCs. But I think you could probably, if you wanted to brave it, you could go in there at, level 5, but you would just get your ass handed to you.
Yeah, I watched a Twitch streamer do Far Harbor at level 1, or starting at level 1, which was a pretty impressive achievement.
Were they using a follower?
What did he do? I don't think he took followers in that, because it's a guy named T_Ronix. He was the guy. He's been on Kotaku. He did the no-hit run where he ran. He did all of the base game without taking damage. I don't remember whether he took radiation. He took 0 hits, no turrets, no rad roaches, anything else. It was an impressive feat. And he's done literally a dozen different permadeath runs with weird challenges, like big guns only, whatever. He ran from the vault to Far Harbor, picking up nothing. That was his own self-imposed challenge rules, that he would pick up nothing except what he could get in the vault. He would run to Far Harbor. He had to arrive at Far Harbor at level 1, and then he had to complete Far Harbor without dying, only with stuff he found on Far Harbor. It was pretty impressive. Getting
to Far Harbor without leveling. I mean, because you get a couple exploration.
No, he did do the run on very easy just to save time. But as soon as he got to Far Harbor, he switched over to survival and completed on survival.
That doesn't count then, Pat.
Yeah, you tell this guy. Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Talk about your real men and women of Fallout. I mean, this guy knows this. He's a good Twitch streamer. He's a kid in college, and everybody's a kid to me, but he's a young guy in college, and he's very personable. He narrates his Twitch streams well, and I just enjoy listening. I put him on while I'm eating breakfast in the morning, and things like that. It's just kind of fun to watch, to listen to him, and it's just amazing. Basically, he's memorized materially all the game. He knows where the spawn points are. He knows what's going to pop up, and he uses that to his advantage with his permadeath and no hit type crazy playthroughs.
I would assume. Goodness.
He also did a naked run. He did a naked run. No equipment, no clothing, no armor.
Naked run. That's great. Everyone, you are listening to the Fallout feed number 51. We're going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. We will check back in with you in just a moment.
Podcasting. Have you ever found yourself saying this on a Saturday night?
I'll even sleep on a futon. I'm that desperate.
Do you find yourself getting into arguments with inanimate objects?
What the fuck does that mean, Xbox? You and I are about to have a fucking problem. What? No!
If so, you need to head over to asapodcasting.com, check out our podcasts, click on our Amazon link, and make your life a better place. This commercial is brought to you by ASA Podcasting.
Thank you, ASA Podcasting, for sponsoring our show this evening. Hey, guys, before we hop back into Nuka World, Pat, did you want to do a couple listener feedbacks and any emails and stuff? Get sort of check in with our listeners, see what's going on.
Yeah, let's check in. This one, Andrew is too modest to acknowledge this one himself. So let me plug. A couple episodes ago, we had a really nice special event on a couple of different ASA podcasting streams, which was Andrew's Red Queen Hypothesis record release album. It's a little bit Spinal Tap. There's some issues with drummers. It's a little bit behind the music. A very, very nice little narrated retrospective of Andrew's band Red Queen Hypothesis. Really, seriously, a lot of fun. If you enjoy any of the bumper music or any of the things you hear on the ASA Podcasting Network, go check it out. So we had a really nice letter from Wendy, a listener, about Andrew's Red Queen show. So let me go ahead and read this. It's a little long, but I think it's worthwhile to acknowledge what good stuff Andrew's done here. So, hey guys, this is from Wendy. Love the show. Look forward to every episode of the feed and roundtable. I've also started to get into Skyrimatic and look forward to many happy hours of listening. A lot of back catalog there. As a side note, feel free to go check those out. This note particularly goes out to Andrew. Thanks for sharing your music. I spent a lot of time at the Beacon Hill Friends house in Boston, and hearing that you went to Erlin brought back many fond memories of Mennonites and Quakers I knew during my own wasteland adventures when I lived in Boston in the 80s. You ask at the record release party for people to make a guess as to some of your influences. True story. When I started listening to the podcast, one of the first thoughts I had was to wonder if you guys had contacted They Might Be Giants and asked for permission to use their song, as I was certain the song you used was theirs. After listening to the show, I obviously knew that now that you are the creator, but I stand by my assertion that you loves you some Giants. And I'll pause there, Andrew. Lie. Put you on the spot. They might be Giants. Influence or not?
Extremely, extremely highly influenced by They Might Be Giants. She nailed that on one. Hammer, nail, boom.
Yeah. And I told you, I think offline, the same thing. I actually remember the same kind of thing, the sort of poppy, sort of like story lyrics and everything else. So yeah, terrific influence.
I really don't hear it, but everyone that's you guys would not be surprised how many times that people shout that one out. Yeah, totally. She
yeah. Yeah, so Wendy actually she jumps over and gives a little feedback about the game. Y'all also ask people to talk about favorite locations in game. Sometimes I like to go over to the Boylston Club because the bar is portrayed as being in the building I worked in at 100 Boylston Street. So cool real life reference there. I also like Cambridge Station because it looks and feels so much like the real Harvard Square. I was happy to hear that people like the Witchcraft Museum up in Salem. I was amazed how well they captured the real museum. It's kind of this crappy converted church with all these dioramas of scenes from the Salem witch trials made from old dilapidated mannequins that looked like they'd been scavenged from the trash behind Filene's department store. Luckily, there were no ghouls or Mirelurk queens in residence when I went there. So thanks again for all the entertainment and keep it up. And yes, Victor is right, as usual. It's definitely pronounced Quincy. Just be glad the game didn't include Barica. And that is Billerica, and she phoneticizes that as Barica, I guess. Sounds like some of the Philly names around this area. So, Wendy, hey, thanks. Terrific note. Appreciate the feedback. Love to hear from all the listeners about whatever topics, Red Queen, Fallout, whatever. So thanks, Wendy, for writing in with that really nice note.
Yeah, that's very awesome. Thanks a lot. Very cool. Jeremy actually suggested that I go back through all of my albums, not just that new one. And he's like, man, I would just sit there and listen to all of them. It's like, I don't even necessarily think he liked the music very much. I think he liked hearing about the stuff in between that I was talking about, like how I come up with lyrics or my process of chord progressions and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think that was.
I fully agree. It was a lot of fun.
Sweet. Well, thanks so much for writing in, Wendy, and everyone. If you have time, Red Queen Hypothesis appreciates you checking out that episode. So yeah, we have some companions interactions that we were doing online. Forever ago, we asked people what their favorite locations were, what their favorite weapons were. So we're just kind of like choosing, I guess, sort of nabbing different categories of the game and sort of asking our listeners what they like. So did we have any feedback about that? Oh yes, we did, from Shailene. I would say Shailene. I'm such an idiot. Shailene on Twitter. Right, right, Pat. Do you have any Twitter pulled up?
Yeah, I got a couple things here. A couple things from. We posted from the follow-up feed. Tell us what some of your favorite companions are. Shailene, a good friend of the show and host of the probably, in fairness, probably the more awesome of the Fallout podcasts. I think Fallout Off the Record is a show that we could be very proud of being number 2 to.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, so seriously, everybody, if you're not already a listener, go check out Rick and Shailene over on the Fallout Off the Record podcast. Terrific show. Shailene, she's on the Facebook group, very active on Twitter. So always good to hear from her. And she responded with our note, McCready. So the Fallout feedback to her, it's like, well, what about McCready? I noticed when I was doing the first round table that you put McCready in some leather, he looks pretty good. He's a pretty good looking guy. So I said, hey McCready, Shailene, what's up with him? And she says, not as judgy as a lot of the others. And have you seen those cheekbones? So dreamy.
Yeah, that's true. He's a good-looking fella and a little less judgy. Hancock is pretty unjudgy,
but kind of undreamy too.
Yeah, he does not have McCready's cheekbones. That's for damn sure.
Well, he might have had McCready's cheekbones, but they're completely rotted away, so he would know melted. Anymore. And in more practical gaming terms, Shailene also does point out that when I wade into the middle of combat, it's handy to have a sniper around. And McCready is good from a distance of course his special. Those of you who've been playing the game since the beginning may remember that at the very beginning his special was really broken. And if you maxed his affinity, I forget, you got some crazy hit bonuses with with VATS, but they toned it down to a much lower level. But it's still not a bad companion perk if you like that kind of thing.
I think it was always a 95 to hit in VATS to the head.
It was.
Busted.
I remember when the patch was coming down to stop that. I remember posts being on it that people were in a giant rush to hurry up and get McCready's perk so that they could take their Xbox offline so that the update wouldn't hit. So that they could keep his perk of the headshots always being 95% chance of hitting in VATS.
Of course, that was pre-mods, right? So there was no other way to get something like that.
Yeah.
So, couple other quick notes from Dallas wrote in. Don't much care for companions, but trying for all the perks. So far, Kate has been my favorite.
Yeah, Kate's great. I like Kate a lot.
Kate was one of the first ones. I did her got her to max affinity. It's most of the time with companions. I do them for a little while and then I get bored with them, and so I start reading how to max out affinity quickly so I can do their quests. But Kate actually ran through her at just sort of normal speed. I didn't do any cheating, and it was pretty satisfying. Quest running out with Kate.
Well, she's a really powerful character too. I've got the page pulled up here on the Fallout. Guys, I don't know what the difference between a Wikia and a wiki is in the first place, but on the Fallout 4 Wikia, I've got or Wikia, whatever, how you pronounce it. I'm horrible. Kate's got, first of all, you pick her up at the combat zone, but her special stats, her breakdown is pretty impressive. Golly, everything's really high.
Yeah, she's definitely one of the strongest, if not the strongest. I mean, Dance is probably well, at the time he was probably the strongest.
Yeah,
definitely got it too. But yeah, they're both of their perception and their agility. Yeah, they're awesomely high. Kate's really cool. I like it. She's got like a cool shotgun. She has some really sass. She says comments about, hey, if you keep your eyes off of me, arse, and up on what you're doing there, like, sorry for the Irish impression, that was horrible. But she has some really good sassy lines. It was kind of funny where you get her over at the combat zone, you kind of break up some sort of raider fight and you kill all the raiders, and then the boss man is like, well,
she's yours now.
You killed all of the people who were trying to make money off of. Now we have zero way to make money. Now she's a liability to me. She's just going to cost me money at this point. So now she's your problem. You take her.
I think everyone really likes Kate until she goes and cleans herself out. And when she gets off the drugs, then she's horrible because she's not as much fun anymore. And then when you start
things,
I'm sorry.
Is that one of her judgy things? Like, if you gave Mama Murphy a bunch of jet right in front of Kate, would she poo-poo that?
Well, yeah. After she gets out of AA, then she's like, well, you can't do drugs anymore. Drugs are bad. So.
When did she go through AA? Is that process just walking out of the combat zone? Is that her AA?
No, it's when you do her affinity quest.
I don't remember. It's been so long since I've done it.
You go into a vault and you basically stick her into a chair and it cleans her all out.
Yeah, it's vault. It's the one with all the gunners.
That's
95, I think.
Good Lord.
It's been so long since I've done it. I did it the first playthrough.
Yeah, and that vault is tough at low to slightly medium levels because it's gunners with all these assaultrons.
God, yeah. Guys, I know I've had all of these follower companions, but there is a long list here. I know that the one in Skyrim is probably at least 3 times as long as this, but there's an impressive amount of followers here, and I really like all of these characters. They all have really good sort of distinct backgrounds and distinct characteristics that are really good for different qualities depending on what kind of build your character has. You can always find like a nice counterpart no matter what you want in one of these characters. I think they did a really good job of balancing out the different play styles here with these guys.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Did either of you guys do much with Strong?
I've definitely taken him around, but I leave him back at home a lot because I really think it's humorous how unamused he is to be left at home. You know, all of his comments that he makes while he's walking around.
I think the promise that I made to myself, and a lot of people always swear, is that, all right, that's the reason to get the cannibal perk, because then I'll run around with Strong and see what he has to say when I start, munching down on people, because that helps raise his affinity very quickly. But I can never get myself to go down that far to get cannibal to do it, and then I never end up using it.
Yeah, and that perk is got a nasty drawback too.
Yeah.
What's the drawback?
Well, if once you have it, you eventually will get what's called the dark craving, and it's a form of addiction. And so that it means that once you have the dark craving, you can only get nourishment from eating people, and you get hungry really fast. So it's like it's like a double whammy of you having limited food, and you have to eat all the time. And you can't cure it by going to a doctor, but it's quite nasty.
Is this an only survival mode thing, or does this happen in?
Good question. I don't know.
This sounds like a survival mode type thing to me.
Or it could be one of those sort of like hidden things, like okay, you can't kill kids, you can't eat people. There's it may be sort of a slight sort of like moral judgment on Bethesda's part. I'm like Dennis. I've thought about like, I should do cannibal just to try it, but I've never done it in any of the Fallout games, just because it just seems so disturbing.
Jeremy's been doing that with his roundtable character, so we'll check in with him again here pretty soon for the finale of season 2 of the roundtable. So be excited to hear about some cannibals, everyone.
Does he play on survival? I forget.
No, none of us do. It's too tough. It's too tough. You guys are. I need to woman up and try to play some survival.
It is not as hard as you just need to get used to. You need to accept the dying.
And I need to get used to carrying the appropriate amount of drugs and cure for drugs, and get used to this system of what causes what affliction and what cures what.
Yeah, the diseases are easy. Antibiotics cures everything. So that you just make sure you get stocked up with antibiotics.
Make or buy antibiotics. What's your process then?
Mostly, I just pick up so many, because once you're in survival, when you're in survival mode, the medikits have ample antibiotics in them. And you can buy them too. So I've never run short of antibiotics.
When you're in survival mode, the medikits, they start having more antibiotics.
Well, you don't get antibiotics at all, I don't think, unless you're in survival, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's not something I recall picking up on a normal basis, I don't think. So, yeah, that could be right.
You know what's really annoying is, unless you're in survival, you can't bottle water.
Yeah, that would be a good thing.
And you can't get dirty water, and because dirty water, you use it in a lot of items for cooking, like squirrel stew and
you just have to find
vegetable soup. You have to go out and buy it instead of just having your own water pump full of dirty water.
I wish there were a way to farm dirty water. That's one of my crafting pet peeves, is you can't farm dirty water. You can only farm purified water.
No, you could farm dirty water. You just have to go down to like the Charles or some, muddy pit, and
Well, to me, you having to doing it yourself with bottles does not equal farming to me. Farming to me is like the settlement does it on its own while you're not there, like it does with purified water and the food.
Yeah.
I don't trust those settlement people to do anything.
No, they are lazy shits. You're right.
Can't trust them.
Lazy little shits. That's what the stocks are for.
Dennis, do you have a favorite companion?
I actually like Piper.
No, totally, dude. I can't believe you just said that, because whenever you say anything about Piper, everyone's always like, "Oh, Piper, oh, Piper sucks." Complaining about Piper. They're just scared of a strong-willed woman. That's all.
I like some of her dialogue options, and usually I get her like when I'm really low level to try and get her perk, because her perk doubles the experience for exploration. So if you get her really early and then you've got another 200 something locations to discover, it's a nice little bonus. But usually I'm done with her by like level 12, and the minute I get her perk, I kick her out. But I really like that opening scene in Diamond City. When I first played the game, I thought it was really funny, where she's just yelling and screaming at the mayor. I just for some reason that scene really like caught my imagination when I first played the game, and it's still something that I still enjoy to watch.
I agree that is I 100% agree on the first time. Although in subsequent playthroughs, I think it goes on to she just talks too much. It's hard to skip her, but it's but I agree it is a nice introduction to Diamond City through her.
All right, Strong, his special stats, he has a strength of 24.
He's a super mutant.
That's amazing. And his agility is 18. I didn't know super mutants were that.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know they were that agile.
That's amazing.
I know he can carry a lot. I think he can carry like 600 pounds or something.
All of these followers, you look at them, they all have really high stats. Dogmeat has a 14 agility and a 14 perception.
Yeah, but try and take Dogmeat anywhere in survival and watch him get one shot.
Does that happen all the time then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you take Animal Friend or not Animal Friend, whatever the perk is to boost him up, he's still really, really squishy.
And
yeah.
Animal.
It's are you thinking about the one the
Wonder? No, what's it called?
The one that lets you it's in the charisma tree like
Attack
7 or 8. Oh no, there's also the one that
the carry.
There's the one that benefits your companions. Like 7 or 8 on the charisma tree.
Yeah, there's Attack Dog and then Inspirational probably.
And that's it. Yeah. I do like and actually one of the I think this might have come in. Yeah, somebody said Dogmeat. I thought I saw maybe on the Facebook group somebody noted this that
I've got the Facebook group.
Because somebody noted with Dogmeat you can still use Lone Wanderer, which is that's a nice kind of double dip right there.
I do like that one a lot. So I thought
it's especially useful if you can double dip and you have a companion whose affinity you can raise by stim packing Dogmeat, because Dogmeat will get his ass kicked. You'll stim pack him, and the other companion will be like, "Oh man, great job." You're like, "Oh yeah, of course."
Love it.
Okay, I've got the that Facebook post pulled up. Patrick, you said bonus hipster points for anyone picking Strong, so you like Strong. That's hilarious. Thomas, new member to the group. Thomas, he chimes in with Kate, sexy and has got my back when the painted ghouls attack. Where are the painted ghouls from? Isn't that a
Nuka World?
I was gonna say that's a new addition.
Yeah, Kitty Corner in Nuka World. Kitty Kingdom, sorry.
Would be a good Red Queen Hypothesis album title. Thank you, Patrick. I keep calling you Patrick. I need to stop with that.
No worries.
David chimes in with, he said he's a boring old fart. Dogmeat, it is. Of course, I like Dogmeat too. Another David Hombach chimes in with Dogmeat. He's an awesome tank, never judges. And while he doesn't give you a perk, he does let you have the cake and eat it too with Lone Wanderer. See, I do like Lone Wanderer as well.
Yeah.
Lone Wanderer lets you carry more and do more damage or something.
You get was it damage resistance first, then carry weight, then do damage, and then they added. That's one of the ones they boosted with Far Harbor. You can actually get more action points. So Lone Wanderer has 4 ranks now.
Let's see, and then Marcus, who is doing our spreadsheet work. Thank you, Marcus. Says Andrew, it's not that bad if you use VATS, and since the latest DLC, it's added a blanket damage resistance of 10% when maxed out.
And wait, what?
Only used when my current character for the roundtable. So, Attack Dog. He's talking about Attack Dog.
Okay.
I've never used Attack Dog, and he says it adds an extra 10% damage resistance when maxed out. What else does Attack Dog do? Doesn't that just mean that Dogmeat will grab an opponent and hold him so you can hit him in bats or something?
Yeah, I think it's got 2 or 3 ranks. It's reasonably useful. I had it for my. I had Animal Friend for my first round table, and I hardly used it.
Yeah, my first round table character did use Attack Dog, and at low levels, it is it's essentially kind of a stun. It is really helpful, but like all companions, I mean, you get to around 15, definitely 20. they're not going to really do much for you, even if you're playing in survival, in my opinion. I mean, there's no way that the companions can outstrip Lone Wanderer, because you're going to be doing so much more damage without them than you would with them. I mean, it's basically you're using them for roleplay purposes at that point.
Was there any more to Shalene's Twitter post there, Patrick? Did we get all the Twitter stuff?
No, that was it from Shalene. I actually do have one other one from Michael Labantagna on the Twitter. I don't know if Michael's in the Michelle. Apologies for that, Michelle Labantagna. I don't know if Michelle is in the Facebook group, but feedback here is I have to go with R404/Mara from Tales of the Commonwealth, my all-time favorite.
Nice. Awesome.
Another shout out for our Tales of the Commonwealth, terrific mod that we've pimped out a couple times here on the show. It's highly recommended.
The listeners are like, "We get it. You endorse it, guys. We get it."
It's all for the love. We get no commercial endorsement by Tales of the Commonwealth.
Not at all. So I haven't gotten any of the follower companions from Tales from the Commonwealth. That is something I do need to check out.
And the we didn't talk about we talked a lot about Nick in the past. I don't probably hate companions as much as I babble about hating companions. I usually go Lone Wanderer style, but I actually have Nick is a pretty good time, and I think Nick's companion affinity quest is a lot of fun, although it's a pain in the neck because it's a 10-part fetch quest.
The holotapes, is that right?
Yeah. You got, and then it's actually a 10-part fetch quest, and then you do his affinity quest. But once you do the 10-part fetch, his actual quest is pretty interesting.
Nice. Yeah, I like the whole background. He was a former cop and all that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Nick is you said earlier, Andrew, the just kind of propping Bethesda for the quality companions. I think Nick, the ones we talked about here, Nick, Kate, haven't given a lot of love to Deacon, but even Deacon's pretty good.
Deacon's fun because you'll turn around and he'll be wearing a totally different outfit, and you're just like, who the fuck? Oh, Deacon. Weird. I didn't get it the first time. I know I've mentioned this in the past, but sometimes in order to be quiet, I'll play with just the subtitles on and no sound, but I sometimes zone out and just play the game without actually reading the subtitles, so I had no idea that Deacon was a changeling the first time, and just kind of like turned around a few times like, wait a second, where'd that guy go? And who's this guy? Who's this douchebag? What are you doing? Who are you? But Deacon's pretty cool. I haven't used him very much. I know Jeremy loves his weapon, isn't the what's it called? That little
Deliverer.
The Deliverer has some pretty cool stuff going on. Who do I take? I like to make a robot sometimes, guys. I will make just a lock bot and not give him any sort of way to fight, and give him the Mr. Handy Jet booster and like just one little arm to unlock stuff, and he can't do anything besides unlock. So I do give him a shock field of defense, so if like someone gets close to him, he has like his own little melee shock burst defense. But I like doing that for some reason. I don't know why.
I built exactly that robot.
He just carries stuff and unlocks stuff. You know what I mean?
I love the Mr. Handy robots because they're fast. And they don't get stuck. Like the tank tread robots, they're extremely tough, but they get stuck all over the place. The Mr. Handy Jet guys never get stuck.
Yeah, I have a horror story about my first time through Automatron in the Mechanist layer with a huge tank bot, trying to get him down into the final chamber. I just couldn't do it because he was too big.
Although sometimes those are fun to run around with, just seeing what they look like when they're like animated on stairs and things, because they sometimes they'll navigate the stairs, and watching those crazy treads like pivot on the stairs is kind of funny.
Well, I think they realized that they had that problem they were going to have that problem in the Mechanist layer, because there is, I think, like it's either just before you go or maybe the level before, there is a robot workstation right there. and it seems like it's there expressly for the purpose of, we know that your
exactly.
companion's not going to be able to get through this door, and you're going to screw it all up. So
They,
now you can go fix it before you face the
if you
mechanism.
notice, they on purpose give you like an adhesive and some steel and the legs to a, you know, an assaultron, not an assaultron, but whatever they're called, protectron, right before you get to that table too, that workbench.
Yeah,
So
I think you guys are right. Yeah.
They give you the capabilities of swapping out the legs really quick in case you can't get into that door. They were smart about that. Because I've definitely had to go back to that workbench after cussing out the robot for half an hour. You know what I mean? Yeah, so as we're talking about companions, we also got some feedback from Sean Mahoney. This is great. I love this. We write on the Facebook page, you know, go ahead and send us some audio feedback, and we post our email address, which of course is the falloutfeed@gmail.com, and we love it when people reply with a audio feedback. We on your phone, guys, just your voice memo app. That's all we're looking for. Nothing big. Just chime in 30, 40 seconds or 10 minutes. We don't care. Give us a little bit of your thoughts, what you're doing in the game, just like Sean Mahoney did here. Thanks for calling in. We'll call it here. Sean Mahoney.
Hey guys, this is Sean Mahoney, also known on the Facebook page as Sean Mahoney. Turns out I used more on it. Just wanted to respond with my choice for Fallout 4 companions. I tend to play sneaky characters, so most of the time the answer is none. However, I do also kind of have the feeling that I need to go ahead and get everyone's perks. So I have spent a bunch of time with all of them. If I had to pick just one, though, I'm going with Piper. I think a lot of people find her annoying, but man, I just like her. She's a genuinely good person. She's inquisitive. She's not afraid of the truth, and she is my choice for Fallout 4 companions.
That's awesome. She's not afraid of the truth. So actually, guys, I know it hasn't been an official poll, but between me and Dennis and Sean, it looks like Piper might be one of the more popular followers in the game.
A lot of Piper love tonight.
We just lost every listener we've ever had.
I really like taking her red coat and putting the ballistic weave on it and giving it back to her. Can you put it on her cap too? No, I think I usually give her a trilby hat or no, you can.
The newsboy cap. I think the newsboy cap is a perfect fit for her.
Exactly. You put it on the newsboy cap and you give her the armor on her leather trench coat or whatever it's called.
Yep.
But it's a pretty cool getup. So what else did we have? Well, I was thinking about it, Pat. Last time, Ray called in with a voice feedback about the luck bobblehead, and I totally stepped on it right after it with a promo, and we didn't really discuss it, and we didn't really actually get to hear any reaction to it. So I want to see if I can pull up Ray's feedback here real quick about the luck bobblehead, so we can actually get a live reaction here too. Maybe see what Dennis has to say about the luck bobblehead real quick.
Hello, Fallout Feed. It's Ray Butcher calling in about some comments that have come up a few times about getting the luck bobblehead at early levels. I wanted to share what I do. When you make your way down and get to the Warwick homestead, you can swim across to Spectacle Island, and as long as you stay close to the boat and go up the stairs to the top level where the luck bobblehead is, you won't encounter any enemies. You won't trigger the Mirelurk Queen or any of that. All you need to do is to be able to cure the radiation that you got from swimming across the water. Unless, of course, you had a hazardous a hazmat suit. So that's my 2 cents. I thought I'd throw that in there. Thanks for the show, and see you in the wasteland.
Awesome, Ray. Thanks for calling in. So what you were about to say something in response to that last time, Pat, and I totally cut you off.
Yeah, I think just a couple of small things. One terrific feedback. Love to hear those little play tips like that to see what people discover. And the thing I think I was going to mention was actually getting to Warwick early game is not trivial, because that's way down in the southeast corner. You have a lot of shit to get through.
Yeah, that's horrible.
To get down to Warwick, unless you're using the alternate start mod, which the version I was using bugged out, and the only place I could go was Warwick.
That is very tough. Warwick at low levels.
Yeah.
You go north or east, and it's just brutal. You got gunners to the north. You got all sorts of horrible, blood bugs and radiated high level stuff.
That's usually why
it's crazy down there.
I usually recommend getting Aqua Boy, Aqua Girl at an early level. I mean, or as early as you can if you have the points for it, because it's one of those like that. As long as you're not, if you grind through like level 30 something and you want to use a good perk, but if you're getting them so fast early game, if you get that, then you can just jump in the water and you can just swim all that, and it's really not that big a issue. So if you have the endurance that can support that, and depending upon what kind of you're talking about, level like 5 endurance, which could be a lot.
Can you also?
I mean, with the bobble, you could get to 4, maybe with the bobblehead, but still, it's a very worthwhile perk. It's probably one of the most underrated. I severely underrated how useful it was.
Yeah, and endurance is, it helps your HP, right? So endurance is a good perk to have at decent levels, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, I think I cut you off. Sorry about that.
No, that's quite all right. I just I like Spectacle Island. He was talking about with the luck bobblehead over there. There's also a mod that I really want to try out. I believe it's called the Kaiju of the Commonwealth, where he has a Godzilla spawn there on Spectacle Island. So I want to try that sometime just to see what Godzilla looks like. I'm kind of imagining it might be sort of like a Deathclaw skin, but applied to the Liberty Prime. Mod could look like. Did I say that right, Pat? Kaiju? No.
That's how I've always said it. Kaiju. Yeah. Pacific Rim. That's where I didn't know that word until I went to Pacific Rim.
Me either. I think I'm like this big monster movie freak when I know that it used to be called Gojira. So that's like our mispronunciation of Godzilla became Godzilla. Like who cares? Come on. So we could get back into Nuka World, but we're also like an hour into the show, guys. So it's
so maybe we didn't talk about some of the specifics. So maybe that's good for like a Nuka World spoiler too. We can we can also. I think some of the missions are worth talking about. They're not bad. A few side quests that are pretty interesting. So maybe that for next time.
Yeah, there's some cool, interesting people that you meet. There's a primitive guy that will come in contact.
Yeah.
You basically conquer the 5 different boroughs of, for lack of a better word, the 5 different areas of Nuka World, and you have to assign one of the 3 raider factions to each of the 5. Is that correct?
Yep.
And I like the pack because they have really fancy hats and cool masks that are animal shaped. And I think that's really festive and cool. So for no better reason other than I like their masks, I gave every borough to the pack with the animal masks. I like those guys.
So if you want to live in Andrew's World, go out and buy a good goddamn hat right away. Or else you're going to get slaughtered.
That's the key to living in the perfect world that Shalene and I live in.
That's right.
Or if you're a gorilla synth, you're also okay.
Oh yeah, man. There's some gorillas that pop up here in Nuka World.
They're ghoul-rillas.
Oh, they're gather that they're not alive.
Well, that's I didn't explore them. I just pretty much just killed them. But when I as I was murdering them, it's like, oh, it says ghoul-rilla there. What does that mean?
I didn't catch that. I'm such a unobservant idiot. I can't believe I have a podcast about this game. I don't notice anything ever.
It's something for everyone.
Great. Dennis, do you have anything else you'd like to discuss this evening? Or Pat, do you have any last last ideas we'd like to get off our chest tonight?
I think it would be great if maybe the listeners sent in any Nuka World observations, tips, things they enjoyed, funny stories. I'd love to hear from some listeners. Audio feedback is terrific. If you don't want to do that, we'll take an email. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, emails are great too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. Thanks everyone for listening to this, the 51st episode. What happened to episode 50, Pat?
Well, funny you should ask. I think you might even have a little more information that you can give the audience about a special event that is coming up on the ASA Podcasting Network any day now. And you'll be able to very soon hear how you can get access to a very special episode 50 of the Fallout feed as part of that special ASA Podcasting event.
Yes, so we're being a little weird and hush-hush about episode 50, but it is going into the vaults, and we will tell you how to get access to it very soon.
And support a good cause at the same time.
Yes, so thank you for listening to this edition of the Fallout feed, and for Dennis and Pat, I am Andrew, and we will see you in the Wasteland.
See you in the Wasteland.
See you.
The Wasteland is a post-apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out, about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, frozen atomic waves. From deep within the core, frozen atomic waves.
Hey, does anybody know when the 12-hour ASA podcasting charity stream for cystic fibrosis is?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Easy there. I'll tell you. It's October 29th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Don't
So I'm
tell
trying to-
anyone. That's under wraps.
Oh, is it under wraps?
No,
What's under wraps?
I was kidding.
Geez, don't scare me like that. Get me in trouble with Michael. Hey, if you're lucky, you'll get to hear more great parenting advice like this.
Punish the child, punch it in the head.
You throw the baby in the corner.
Flamethrower.
Eat the baby, Jeremy.
Right.
Jerry's eating babies.
Hey, Victor, did you know Andrew can do some of his son's favorite impressions?
I wouldn't know.
Well, here's a couple of them.
I've been looking forward to this.
Choo choo. A little boat. Choo choo.
And of course, those of us here at ASA Podcasting find that
Adorable.
and maybe someone's favorite band by the name of
Meat Shield,
will join us some of their latest hits, including
elephant on roller skates.
Creepy Uncle Laugh, not included. Or what about this one? And finally, Colin's favorite song.
Do you have your crack cocaine in the break?
That's right. All of this could be yours and more if you tune in October 29th between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to the ASA Podcasting Cystic Fibrosis charity stream. More details to follow. This commercial is brought to you by ASA Podcasting. This episode of the Fallout feed is brought to you by Game Talk and viewers like you.